Greetings, toiletarians! I'm your host, Toilet Terry, and you guys are all watching Toilet Talk with Terry. That's me, obviously. So there's a discussion topic for this episode is, if I were an animal. If I were an animal, personally, I would be a dog. What breed, you may ask? Lab. What color, you just might ask? Brown. Why brown? Good question. Good question. I'm not sure I have an answer. You see, I and friends of mine, when we were younger, and we still do now too, we played this game called If That Person Were an Animal, What Animal Would They Be? We'd be out in public, we would point out random strangers and try to determine, okay, if that random stranger right there were an animal, what would they be? One of my friends pointed out this guy that was obese and said, if that guy was an animal, he'd be a cow. And I was like, dude, you're wild and you gotta tone it down a notch. And then we saw this lady with an insanely long neck, and I said, if that lady were an animal, she'd be a giraffe. What would her name be? Jeffrey? And then another friend of mine saw this guy with a skin disease and said, if that guy were an animal, he'd be a zebra. And I was like, okay, I gotta admit that's a pretty funny joke. What would his name be? Zeke? I remember there was also this other time. Me and my friends we were eating at Wendy's, talking, laughing, cutting up, pointing out random strangers, and saying if that person were an animal, they'd be this, they'd be that, yada, yada, yada. And then something happened. What happened? Well, this homeless guy walked in. Everyone in the restaurant could smell him. Smelled terrible. And one of my friends blurted out in the middle of the restaurant where everyone else could hear him, if that guy were an animal, he'd be a donkey. And I thought to myself, dude, that's just cruel. That's cruelty. I don't care who you are, that's cruelty. Then that night when we got home, we were watching TV. And on the TV, there was this ad for Seattle's Best Coffee, where this ranger is trying to get away from a porcupine. Suddenly, this lady comes up to him and hands him a cup of Seattle's best coffee. She says, go ahead. So he starts drinking it, and then the porcupine starts making noises at him, making hissing noises. And so, with the coffee cup in his hand, he looks back at the porcupine and goes, Ksh! And we all agreed, okay, if that guy right there, if that ranger right there was an animal, he'd be a cat. And there was this other time where we knew this guy from our church who, well, he stuttered a lot. I remember he was our chaperone on a camping trip once, and on our way to camp, we stopped at a corner store, and, well, it was a dollar store, and he picked up a particular item and said, this item is only $2 bucks. And when he said bucks, we were like, oh yeah, if this dude was an animal, he'd be a chicken. Like the chicken dance. I forgot how to do it. I'm gonna have to relearn it. And then one of my friends whispered in my ear, well, that makes sense because he's fat. And I was like, dude. And he's like, seriously, it makes sense. Think about it. All you had to do was tar and feather him. See, my grandmother, Nana, my mom's mom, She likes to snort a lot when she laughs, like, ha ha ha. And we all agree, if she was an animal, she'd be a pig. So, overall, we're all different in many different ways, just like all animals are different in their own unique ways. And I believe each and every one of us has a little bit of animal mentality inside us. After all, animals and humans are both living creatures. So I guess the moral of this video is we're all living creatures, we're all different, we can all relate to each other. Even animals can relate to humans and the other way around, vice versa. And that's what makes everyone special in their own way, and that's what makes life a great adventure. And that's all I have to say about that. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to drop a like on this video if you liked it. Hit that sub button for more upcoming content, which will be amazing. You won't want to miss it. All right, keep it real. Peace out. Hold up.